There was a special request yesterday when I hopped on live to talk about my musical journey. And I don't know why it never really occurred to me to talk about that as a musician who's been writing songs for 27 years, recording for 22 years, performing music, at least like from my own music, for a long time. But anyway, I wanted to actually start out and end out with the newest song off of my forthcoming studio album. And this song is called Perfect Love. And not too many people have heard it because I think maybe 13 people have collected the capsule. And so those folks have had the opportunity to hear it, and now I want to share it with you. So, hey, Blissworks brands, welcome to Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays. We're about to actually play a little bit of music. Not this one, but I promise I'll tell you the whole story. Give me a second. But first, this one. I promise I'll tell you the Tell me if you can hear it. Yes.
Why you searching for the perfect love? You can purchase it, you perfect love. Don't be searching for the perfect love unless the lane you searching for someone that's like your soul. Why you searching for the perfect love? You can purchase it, you perfect love. Don't be searching for the perfect love unless the lane you searching for someone that's like your soul. Dear, it's some things I never told you. First time we got down, you didn't ask me, you just mowed through. Pushed up in my body, and let me cold, dude. Looked me in the eyes and said it wasn't enough froze too. I was free the first time I meant to.
Okay, so hi, you just missed it. We were playing a little clip from Perfect Love, which is the first song off of my forthcoming studio album. But we're going to get into Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays, into the podcast content. I'm super excited about it. And like I said, it came from a special request from one of y'all to hear more about my musical journey. So let's get into it, and then I'll play a little bit more of Perfect Love at the end. All right. Ready, Freddie? I don't know, I called you Freddie cause your name ain't Freddie. Do. All right. So this episode is the first of a new segment called Off the Record. And this episode is episode 20 of Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays. Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays is a segment of the Let's Make a Classic podcast. Y'all, I'm a little sleepy. Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays is a segment of the Let's Make a Classic podcast. And within Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays, each week we have like a different rotating section. And so we're introducing a new section called Off the Record because folks have been requesting to hear more about my personal musical journey, which now spans like almost 30 years. Hi, Ryan, good to see you. You literally popped up right at the right time. Okay, beautiful. So can I tell you a story? I had a vision when I was maybe 4 years old. I saw myself standing, and this is a true story. I know it sounds like the opening of like a song lyric or a poem, but this is a true story. When I thought about my musical journey, I was like, well, where did it begin? And I think that there's, like any good story, you can begin it in many places, but this was the place that I thought might be relevant to y'all. So I had a vision when I was 4 years old. I saw myself standing on a stage in front of what seemed like, at least at the time, what seemed like thousands of people to me. the woman on the stage was like my future grown self, and she looked like Marilyn Monroe. I remember this like so clearly in my mind. I like see myself, I'm like, whoa, the vision is coming to me. I'm standing by myself in front of a mic, on a mic stand. There's a big, gigantic like crowd full of thousands of people, but I'm not looking out at the crowd. I like am looking towards the stage with me standing there. Hi, peace. And as I'm watching myself, I'm seeing that the woman on the stage looks like Marilyn Monroe. And I remember realizing in that moment, in my 4-year-old mind, wait a minute, when I grow up, I will not look like her. And I remember also then immediately thinking, oh, I guess I can't be famous. Which is deep that even at 4 years old, I had some type of association with, wait a minute, in order to be visible, I have to be a white, thin, very fair and pale white woman with blonde hair. And then if I don't look like that, I'm not going to become famous. So those messages had already seeped into my mind and my subconscious. And we know that 4 and 3 and 5, 3 to 5, like that's about the time where young people start being able to articulate the way that they're internalizing oppression. But anyway, I wasn't white like my mother. My mother was a beautiful, full-figured, vivacious woman with like long, thick, dark hair and a full Italian nose. And my mama had like a personality that was equal parts honey and hot sauce, and she was full of piss and vinegar, as they say. So definitely nothing like Marilyn Monroe, even though she was white. And so that was a moment too where I was like, wait, my mother is white, but I don't look like her, and she doesn't look like this thing, and neither of us will ever look like that. I'll definitely never look like that, so maybe I can't become famous. It was 1991 and I was 4, and in my world at least, nappy-headed Black girls, even light-skinned ones, were not yet seen as beautiful or as like main character material, and they weren't portrayed really in the media. So that's like one of the points that I feel like I can spot as partly the beginning of my musical journey. And I think it's important because it starts with self-doubt and the inability to envision, like a vision coming to me, which I really feel like was a divine vision long before I even understood what my purpose was. So it starts with like connection to vision, connection to the creator, and the ability to have a huge vision far beyond my own comprehension, right? And a long road vision, because the other pieces, right? This, like, in this vision, I'm for having the vision. Me on the stage, I probably was somewhere in my 20s or 30s. So it was years and years ahead of time, right? So it starts with that ability to vision, but also it also begins with doubting oneself, a lack of belief, and almost like the oppression and the internalized oppression that came through from the media dampening my ability to see myself as worthy, beautiful, even being able to exist and be visible, right? Without these markers of what at the time was being portrayed as like women who got to be visible in the society. In my mind and where I grew up, right? We're talking about the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest of the United States. So, it's going to be different depending on where you're raised. But anyway, another one of my first memories is, and this is like even before then, I believe, or around the same time, is being strapped into my car seat while my older brother, Luis, turned to my mother and he's like, he's got his arms crossed and he's furrowing his brow and he's like, Mom, make her stop. She's not even rhyming. And sometimes I joke, I'm like, that's where all this shit started out. Probably the back of my mind was like, rhyming? Why do I need a rhyme, right? And shortly thereafter, I would say within the next year, like 6 months probably, I have my first memory of encountering rap, like hip hop music, folks rapping over music from the radio around my older brothers. But at this point I was like, I didn't know what rhyme was. And even then at that point, I don't think I understood what rhyming was, but I remember that. It's like, she's not even rhyming. And I don't know what the fuck I was saying, to be honest. But since I can remember, I always used sound, like singing, humming, and later when I got hold of rapping to kind of like soothe my body, clear my mind, just like balance my energy if I was angry or sad or distracted. And my business coach, I call her my business coach, even though she don't work with nobody one-on-one. And people are always like, she not your business. I'm like, she my business coach. But my business coach, Rachel Rogers, who doesn't take one-on-one clients, but she coaches me and a gang of badass entrepreneurs in her community, Hello 7. And it's her and like so many dope coaches. Rachel always says, pay attention to the things that you did as a child, because there are clues there about your purpose, your zone of genius, what lights you up. And in her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, she talks about how she used to get in trouble a lot as a young person, even to the point where like her teachers would send home notes like, you know, Rachel's a really smart girl, but she talks too much. And now she jokes, she's like, now I get paid like to talk to people. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, you know, she's a CEO and an all around badass beep. So that's another story. But for me, the thing that I used to get in trouble for was singing. So, and the thing is, like, I would be completely unaware. My grandmother Mary would stay telling me like, no singing at the dinner table. I remember I got sent to live with her when I was 12 years old. And I can't tell you, probably every single night of dinner, me, her, my grandfather would be sitting down to eat. Maybe we would have like an auntie, uncle, cousins, you know, friends of the family over. And she would be like, no singing at the dinner table. And I would be like, oh, you know, and I would try to hold it in because I wouldn't have even realized I was singing. And that was something, it's to this day, it's something that I'll be humming to myself, or I'll be, you know, whatever. People are like, oh, what is that song? Or whatever the case may be. It's like, I'm not even aware of it. So, you know, the music was so loud in my head, the compulsion to sing it out loud was very natural. And as soon as I got a journal, it was off to the races. I got a journal before I was even 12. My first songs were written at 11. And from that moment, music was just something that I did. Like, I couldn't get enough time to journal, you know. I remember somebody from my childhood in the last 5 years was like, you were such a prolific songwriter even then. And that is actually when the light bulb went off in my head, like, oh shit, yeah, that is part of my zone of genius, is like the songwriting. Like, it just literally, there was not enough time in the day to pour out all the lyrics and the stories and the different melodies that would come in. Hey, how you doing? So let me see. It's good to see you, Khalid. I want to interact with you personally one-on-one, so I got a little thrown off. I'm like, wait, how's Khalid doing? But yeah, you know, it was something that chose me, songwriting, and that spoke through me and that would carry me forward in ways that I couldn't yet understand. And that's kind of how the journey began for me. The visions, the sounds, even I would say like the compulsions, they were all pointing me toward a life in music. But I wouldn't even say like a life in music. I would say, to me, music and creativity is an inherent part of humanity. I think that it is capitalism that has created structures and narratives that some people are musical, some people are creative, some people are artists, and some people are so good that they deserve to be paid well for it. I think that all comes out of, you know, classism, class societies, class oppression, and capitalism. But I do think that that initial vision that I had when I was four did speak to what would come, you know, in the future. And in future episodes of in future episodes of Off the Record, y'all are just coming, we'll get into like the different parts of that journey, how hip hop came into play, you know, my love of dance, which sometimes I even imagine that to be really my first love before songwriting and singing, before rapping, because before I could articulate everything that I was feeling and experiencing, I was able to move my body, and that was something that completely lit me up. But all of that kind of happened around 3 or 4 years old. Anyway, from those earliest whispers in the backseat, in my car seat at 4, with my brother being like, "Mom, she don't even rhyme, make her stop," to writing my first rhymes, to the first songs that poured onto the paper, and the first full-length albums that like impacted me, that I would cry to, that I would that would get me through, you know, the ups and downs in life. The music was definitely saving me even before I knew I needed saving. And that journey continues today as I share it with you in this series. So this is our first, I don't want to say stab, this is our first try at Off the Record. Again, it was a request from one of y'all, and I don't quite know how to, it's harder for me to talk about. I don't know, because these things for me, I'm like, it's just the life that I live. So it feels in some ways like boring to just talk about my musical journey, but I'm glad that folks asked. If you want to hold a piece of this story in your hands, we just dropped the print. Let me see if I have some around. Oh, well, there's one here on the wall. I bought my own print because, listen, we can't be just taking from the supply, and I thought it was so gorgeous. But they come in 5 colors. You can definitely go on my timeline and see. This is the periwinkle one, and it's a 12 by 12 inch. It's kind of like the size of a record. Super dope. I'll show you super quick on the back. Just quick. I can't have you snapping with the camera, but there's a code, a key, and you scan it, and then you download the song, the Love Me All acoustic. But the other thing that's hella exciting is it's a collaboration with multimedia visual artist China Brown, who's an incredible Black female visual artist based here in Brooklyn from Columbus, Georgia. And when you order the print, you also get a ticket to the listening party, which is a series that I've been doing both in person and on Zoom. We had our first in-person one this past Friday. Anyway, let me see. Hold up. I'm gonna drop the link to it in the chat. I always say the chat, but it's not a chat. Let me see. Copy. Hello. Let me see if it works. There it is. So I just dropped the link in, not the chat, the comments. I'm so used to the Zoom world. But check it out. We have, I guess, 31 people have already collected the print. And I just sent out the first shipment yesterday. Everyone else, the other 18 folks, came in person or, to the listening party this past Friday and got theirs. So our next listening party is tomorrow night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific. And your ticket comes with a print, which is so dope, and the Love Me All acoustic, which is so dope, and then this beautiful print, which is so dope. I want to play y'all the rest of Perfect Love for those of you who weren't here earlier. And if you have any questions, I thought I would open it up for a Q&A. And I'll check the comments below, and if anything comes in, I can answer those. Let me go to the website now. This is, let's see, Perfect Love. Let's see, will it play? It might be a bit loud.
Perfect love. You can purchase it, you perfect love. Don't be searching.
Wait, pause. This is Perfect Love that I'm playing now. Well, no. This is Perfect Love that I'm playing right now. But this is the way that you get the Love Me All acoustic. The Love Me All acoustic will not be on my studio album. That's only accessible through the capsule. But if you grab one of these, you'll get it, and we also listen to it at the listening parties. So what I'm playing you is from the album capsule, because I want y'all to get to hear it and not have to necessarily snatch up the capsule to hear any of the music. This is you can only hear it through this. It's not on the streaming platforms, none of that. But I did want to play y'all a little bit of Perfect Love. Okay, now that I've clarified that, Perfect Love.